that, definitely give them a touch base with Al. And we have a new sponsor tonight joining our sponsorship team. A shout out for Salvo Campaign Victory Simplified. I'm going to give you a little more information about Salvo. So, the renowned political scientist Larry Sabato once said, "Every election is determined by the people who show up." Well, in today's world, it's more like every election is determined by the people who get out the vote. And I'll say also that it's more the ballots that are chased who win elections rather than people who are showing up. Anyone who has participated in a political campaign organization knows that they are inherently, well, right, guys, they're kind of disorganized.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fragmented, reactive, not to mention those pesky consultants, a combination of used car salesmen and parasites on a rhino rear end who care more about funding their corner offices than the candidate winning office. This is where Salvo Journeys comes in, right, Jessica?
Yeah, they get paid regardless.
They get paid regardless, so they don't really care. Salvo is a voter outreach platform that gives your political campaign, party, and PAC full control over voter outreach. It does things like lets you plan your campaign roadmap for activities to generate candidate ID or PAC ID, party ID, streamline petition signing, remind voters of important election dates, and of course, chase ballots. Ooh, maybe some more coffee. During the get out the vote period. Influencing a voter takes at least 10 contacts. So, how do you keep track of all of those who you've emailed, texted, door knocked, and sent direct mailers to? So many vendors and so many disconnected tools. Salvo solves that by allowing you to target the right voter with the right message at the right time. It unifies the fragmented tool sets into one simple-to-use software with district insights, things like campaign milestones, voter data segmentation, contact timelines, outreach productivity reporting, and of course, voter outreach salvos. Salvo is a cost-effective because it eliminates the consultant and their vendor buddies, and it lets you go directly to the voter at the best price possible. We have two very affordable pricing options, month-to-month pricing for a do-it-yourself kind of package, or hire a Salvo Journey guide for a month or more to get going and help you coordinate your ground game. Things like texting, emailing, door hangers, mailers are all included with the best in-market pricing. And the 2024 election year is going to be hectic. Start planning your voter outreach now with Salvo Journeys. You can go to www.salvo.today, not .com, .today, and it's going to be linked below, to create your account. We the Locals podcast viewers get a free guided journey session to help kickstart your campaign. So make sure that you mention that is where you heard about Salvo. Salvo Journeys, Campaign Victory Simplified. So thank you, Salvo.
Thank you, Salvo.
Yes.
Also, a couple more things. If you are interested in a sponsorship with us, you can reach out to us and ask questions on how you can get your business or campaign advertised here on our podcast. Or if you'd like to just help us out a little bit, you can drop us a Rumble rant or a super chat. We also ask that you like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels and all of our social media.
Yes.
I think those are all my announcements.
At We the Locals FL.
At We the Locals FL. I think those are all our announcements, right? Jessica, did I miss any?
Okay. I think that's good.
All right.
And you know, I've used Salvo previously, and it's amazing. Yeah. It's really great. So thank you, Salvo, for coming online with us. You know, don't hesitate to check them out. They're great.
Awesome. So, how's everybody doing tonight? What's new?
Well,
Abby?
it's only the 5th of the month, and it's been a hectic month already.
I'm pretty sure our boss today said it's been a long month. And we were like, it's only the 5th. And she's like, exactly.
Yeah, we thought September was bad with all of the budget hearings and the commission and council meetings and everything going on. And October is shaping up to be just as hectic for different but similar reasons.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I was like, okay, budget's done. All of the municipalities have closed out their budget. All had to be done by September 30th. We should have, like, you know, kind of go in,
breathe
to fall, and, you know, like, it should just be kind of back to normal business. And well, it's normal business, but not quite the way I had anticipated. So it's very interesting things that are going on right now.
Yes. So last time we were all together, we did the special episode about Abby for Breck.
Which if you didn't see,
for our
go
GOP
check it out.
chair. It's available on both Rumble and YouTube. So I have been campaigning hard for that. We had a regular meeting last week, and the acting chair did set the election date for, Monday, October 23rd, which is the Monday of our normal
wild
major week.
That's the fourth Monday of the month is typically when the committee meets, and so it's that night, and it's it's game on. We're campaigning, making phone calls. I would rather knock doors any day of the week and twice on Sunday than make phone calls, but that's what you got to do.
Why is it more difficult for phone calls?
I'm not a phone. I would rather knock doors than phone bank. I like talking to people face to face. I feel like I'm better like in person and live. But these are my fellow precinct committee men and women, and I have to plead my case. I have to share why I'm the right choice to lead the Broward Republican Party into 2024. It's an important year, and we've got a lot of work to do.
So tell us a little bit about what your envision is. Like, what is your why? Like, what is it for you that this is so important?
Well, I think you guys agree with me. I mean, our focus here on the podcast is local. Yeah. We care deeply about Broward and Palm Beach counties and what happens at the local level, because it all starts local, from city commission, city council, school board, county commission on up. I think Republicans have done a dismal job in the past,
absolutely,
of focusing on the local, on the smaller races, and it's the Farm League, it's the AAA, it's the and we have to run candidates for those seats. If we don't, we are we're handicapping ourselves down the road, because then if you guys recall last year, and I'm not saying any these were good candidates. I mean, I give them all the credit in the world for throwing their hat in the ring, but we had 7 candidates for CD 23.
Oh my gosh.
And then we couldn't win the seat. We couldn't win the general. And it was a winnable race.
Yeah. Now it's going to be much harder because we're running against an incumbent.
Correct. Yes. And that's where the Democrats have always,
to be fair, they did have also, I'm pretty sure they had a crazy primary.
They did. They had multiple candidates. So one of the Fort Lauderdale city commissioners ran, Ben Sorensen, and we had
there was a woman.
There was a woman. Yeah, I mean,
I can't remember her name now.
I just remember being out in front of the early voting sites last August and just all the signs.
So many signs. Because there was 15 people in the race, because then there was independent people running on the independent ticket.
Christina Scott?
No, she was further. She was 22, wasn't she?
She was 23.
No,
she was 23.
Yeah. I can't remember.
So, anyways, getting back to the local aspect, I think the local part is so important, and it's why I got involved in the Broward GOP, because it is grassroots. It is the local level. We're a little different from Palm Beach County. We don't have a federal PAC at the moment. It's something that the late chairman and I really wanted to get off the ground this year, and it's just a matter of finding the right people to run the PAC for us, because it's complicated. It's the federal level. I would still like to get that done in the future, just because that is important, that we cannot support federal candidates at all right now. But we can obviously support local and state candidates, and we've got to run candidates in those races.
I know. I see. They keep sending out the email for Palm Beach County REC with all of the races that are still open, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many.
Yeah,
there's so many for these municipalities.
Well, I think too is it's really hard to even get people to even consider, because for one, Republicans are ruthless and we are mean.
Oh yeah,
there are so many that are just mean. And it's sad. It's so sad to see it, because it's you see good people, and look, we're all imperfect humans, right? You're never going to find the perfect, person that hits all of the boxes and is personable and can do the job. And it's I almost want Republicans to kind of look at themselves as an HR manager.
We love HR, don't we?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's what, 75% of my work week is comprised of.
But it's you have to vet the candidates. You have to research them. People lie. And that's the thing that I think is so important coming into 2024, is I've noticed this little connection, this little synchronicity of things that are going on. And it's really about, at least I was taught, and I'm sure you guys are going to agree with me, politicians lie. They lie all the time.
Their mouth is moving, they're lying.
Right. And so it's almost ingrained that now it's just okay to lie. It's okay to just
Well, and then what happens
not
is
be truthful.
What happens is then when you do have the ones who do tell the truth, then they get attacked and assume that they're being lied, that everyone assumes that they're lying.
Right.
Right.
And so instead of really actually trying to spend time to understand the issues, to be able to ask educated questions and then vet what the person is telling you, people just attack the person and say, oh, well, you're lying.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't even take the time to like get to know the candidate. You know, so it's like, Abby, I know you very well. You know, like if you were to sit down with you, you would be able to see that you're a woman of integrity and truthful, and that isn't necessarily going to sugarcoat everything, but tell you what you need to hear. And that's hard to do. There's not very many people that are able to do that because, you know, like, you know, I just want to connect, federal to local for a second, you know, because of what's going on with Speaker McCarthy and all of this kind of stuff.
Former
Speaker McCarthy it's because that he lied to the Democrats, he lied to Biden, he lied to the Republican Party,
He lied to Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz said,
right, exactly. So, and then it was very obvious he was trying to cut out all of these side deals, and I think conservative Republicans are like, no more of this.
We're tired of it.
Yeah.
We need integrity. We need people that are going to stand up and you know, love them, hate them, whatever. You know, Trump just kind of lays it out on the line and just kind of rips the Band-Aid off. And not everybody likes to hear that. And out of candidates that we have locally, I feel like they just want to appease whoever they're talking to because they're so scared of being attacked or saying the wrong thing, or they just can't do the job. Like it's like if you're a school board candidate and you don't go to school board meetings, that's a problem. You know, if you're running for county commission and you don't go to commission meetings or being able to say like, hey, this is what's going on in your county, then you're not a real candidate. I'm sorry just to kind of be brutal and blunt, but if we want to win, if anyone wants to win, and that's both sides of the aisle, it doesn't matter, I really think 2024 is going to really strengthen our ability to win if we can be truthful, if we can have more integrity, and really focus on the real messaging. The culture wars, all of that kind of stuff has really kind of screwed us over this last year.
I think it's made things so hyper tense that it's very hard to sit down and have, like we say this all the time, it's hard to sit down and have conversations with people. Yeah. Because even people who are, quote, on our side, just having, like, there's, like, trigger things. It's like, I think someone said that people are nails, and so they're just looking for a hammer to be, like, to go after things instead of, okay, like, let's calm down with our emotions. It is because it is very emotional. We're talking about, seriously, the future of our country, the future for our children, the future for our everything. And so it is a very emotional thing to be discussing these topics. But we can't let the emotion overcome our ability to reason, to process, to speak about things, to understand how things don't always go exactly how you want them to go. You know, a lot of the drama that's happened over the last couple of weeks, like with the budget, like in Palm Beach County, is everyone's like, oh, well, we elected all these Republicans and they're supposed to take their magic wands and go, shoom, shoom, boom, and everything's supposed to change. Well, if you vote with a Democrat, have the same opinion on something, then you're a Democrat. Which so this is kind of segues a little bit, I think, into what we want to talk a little bit more about tonight is what the role of each of these local levels of government is, and how sometimes it has nothing to do with party politics. It has everything to do with opinions, vision, integrity, character, which are not party specific.
Right.
And what is best for the community at large.
Right.
And yes, sometimes that's a Democrat.
Do not say the word greater good.
For the greater good.
No, it's
for the greater good.
A shout out to Brian Stenberg. He said one time we were sitting in a city council meeting, one of the council members kept saying the words greater good over and over again. And he was like, I hate that phrase. He said it implies that there are people who are not going to benefit, and it should not be for the greater good. It should be what will benefit society. What is going to be, I can't remember. Brian, if you're watching, chime in the chat to correct me. But it was something like along the lines of like, it is to make as a society as a whole better, not for the greater good. Because when you say for the greater good, that means people are going to be
You're
pushed
willing
down.
to sacrifice
You're willing
someone.
to sacrifice
Right.
someone versus
Yeah.
saying this is a society as a whole. We're going to all work together to make things better.
And we as Americans, we don't sacrifice people. That's not what we do. You know, we set boundaries, we do good things, we help people who want to be helped, but yet we don't. We're not gonna cut our own throat to save the neighbor.
We're not going to light our kids on fire to save anyone else. To
That's
warm
right.
someone else.
That's right.
So, wow. Okay, so we were talking. So it's local government, and like, what are the different roles in these places? So we've got city council, city commission, which we've talked a lot about with our guests. We've got county commission, which we've talked somewhat about, and we will talk more about in November with our guests.
And we'll talk a little bit about this later this month, too, because our
Yes.
guest has been on the county commission and the school board.
You want to announce who that is?
So, yes, 2 weeks from tonight,
Yes.
on October 19th, school board member Tori Alston from the Broward County School Board will be here in the studio with us.
I'm excited.
And really excited to talk to him. He's a really, really smart guy. Like I said, he was on the county commission in Broward. He was Department of Transportation, I believe. He was before he was appointed to the county commission. After the crazy CD20 primary of late 21, when several of the commissioners resigned to run for CD20, he got appointed. Him and Jared Moskowitz got appointed to the commission.
That's right. Jared Moskowitz got appointed to that commission.
Yes.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Because he used to be the Department of
Emergency
Management.
Yeah.
That's right. DeSantis with him.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
He was a fool the other day too. And
Moskowitz?
What did he do?
Oh gosh, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So it was the impeachment inquiry, and he just went on with his 5 minutes, basically talking about everything else but what the whole purpose of him being in that meeting and having an opinion. It was go and listen to it. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. I have the link somewhere, but it's really bad. Like, he just talks about Trump. He talks about nothing.
Has nothing to do with Trump.
Yep. It says that there's
That's
no
Biden, right? The impeachment
Yeah.
of Biden.
Never does.
Yeah.
Never does.
Yeah.
No, they're just, I mean, it's not filibustering, but it's kind of filibustering. They're just wasting time.
Yeah, exactly.
And just keep the narrative.
Yeah. And it's so gross that they can't take this seriously. Like, literally the world could be falling apart around them, and they have no interest in actually taking things seriously and finding out what's
on
going on.
vacation, so
Yeah.
you know,
So-
a
so
week of
anyway.
recess. Anyway,
Anyways,
we're
yeah.
not talking about Congress.
Tori will be with us in 2 weeks.
But he is a
Super
local
excited.
representative, so
Yes.
we need to hold him
Jared
accountable.
Moskowitz.
And if
Yes,
you've
yes.
ever read his email updates, have you ever read his email updates?
Moskowitz's?
Yeah. It's all me, I. It's all about me, and he really hasn't accomplished much up there yet,
Saying anything?
No.
other than insider
I
trading.
was just going to say that. That he has accomplished quite well.
Has done that well. So wow. So school board.
Well, we were talking about the different levels of government.
Different
then
levels
we
of government.
sidebarred to
Si-
announce our next guest.
Yes. So
Yeah.
make sure you mark your calendars. October 19th, right? Okay, at 7:15.
Yep.
We will get to chat. So all your school board questions, all the things, have them ready to go to drop in our
Yeah,
chat
he's a
for him.
really, really, really cool history and just a lot of different positions and stuff. So, yeah.
All right.
That's awesome.
All right. So let's talk about who was responsible for what. Do you want to tell us, Jessica, how we got into this topic of conversation
Well,
without getting into too many,
Yeah, so working in the commission office, with Commissioner Woodward, is that there was a situation that came across the office basically about horns on a bridge.
those.
So the
Oh, I was like,
so when the is,
Not devil horns.
Not horn heavy. For the
so-
bridge to go up.
so
Okay,
a bascular
bells.
bridge, right? Is that what it's called? A bascular bridge, where
I
it
have no idea what they're called.
it basically comes up and then it allows the boats to come through.
Yes, drawbridge.
Yes.
Yeah. So some of them, I don't think any of them go up automatically every 20 minutes. I think
They
it's
don't?
only. I think
Some in
it's,
Broward do.
I
Oh,
think
not in Palm Beach.
at least this particular bridge, it only goes up when a boat is approaching.
Okay.
Okay. And so when the boat approaches, the horns go off, and then the bridge raises, right?
Little arms come down. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
And then the bridge goes
something like that.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen a swing bridge? Just a sidebar.
Is that the one with the weight on the end?
No.
Oh,
So in Fort
I did see that
Lauderdale,
in
in my old
London.
neighborhood in Fort Lauderdale, there's a swing bridge in the Riverside Park.
What is a swing bridge?
It swings.
Oh.
It
It goes
swings.
sideways.
Yeah, it goes sideways. It's super cool.
Oh,
I
that
have
is
to take the
cool.
kids
Yeah.
to see that. That'd be
That is
fun.
cool.
It's there's so Riverside Market is in that, and there's like they stock a whole bunch of craft beers, and they've got really good food and stuff. So make a day of it.
We
yeah.
should go do that. We should
should.
have a
That would
meetup there.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
That's
A
my
We
old
the
stomping
Locals
grounds.
meetup.
I lived in the Tarpon River, across the river from Riverside Park.
All right, so if anyone is interested in doing a We the Locals podcast meetup,
That would be awesome.
let us know in the chat, and we will pick a date. Maybe we can do something in like January. And the weather's nice.
Oh, yeah. That
be-
would be great.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Are you going to be around in January?
Of course, I'll be around in January.
You'll be running. running,
Lord willing, and if the creek don't rise.
And not away either.
Sometimes I want to.
All right.
So anyway,
Foghorns.
So, back to the bridge. so there was this bridge. So it got rebuilt or
It was renovated. It was
Yeah, it was
updated
w-
a couple years in the last couple years.
yeah. So and the neighbors by this particular bridge are complaining, saying that the horn is going off at all hours.
Every 20 minutes.
According to State Representative Peggy Gossett Seidman, is that it's going off every 20 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is not true according to the stats that the county has. So there's some
Because
discrepancies
it's a county bridge,
there.
correct?
So, and that's the thing. So this is in the city of Boca, but it is a county bridge. There are city bridges in Boca, but this particular one is a county bridge. And so constituents are calling Representative Seidman's office about this bridge. Nothing has come into Commissioner Woodward's office about this bridge. And so when it came to the attention, it's like, well, they're not calling the right place.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I understand that the representative wants to help her constituents. Like, she's like, hey, my constituents have a problem. I want to be able to help them with that. But it's kind of like, it's not a state bridge, it's a county bridge.
So really, the people should be contacting the county.
Right.
Yeah.
And ideally is what we would want would be, like just me as a citizen, not as a county employee. I just want to make that clear. Is this just like, I would want to know who is the right person to contact.
That's like one of the first questions you call when you don't know for sure. Say, this is my problem. Am I talking to the right people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so like us in the commission office, when we take a phone call from a constituent, our question is, how can we help you? What's your phone number? What's your email address? What's your address? So that we can make sure, for one, you're calling the right district, because we don't want to get through all of the information and then find out we're not the right commission office to help you. So we want to just confirm the information, make sure that, and find out what the problem is, and then go, you want a homestead, you need to talk to the property appraiser's office.
Right.
That's not through us, but here's the information.
Right.
So, I just kind of felt that it was weird that the representative's office didn't turn around and say, oh, you need to contact the county commission about that. They might be able to help you because they handle that particular bridge.
Right.
And so it just kind of got onto this aspect is that a lot of people don't know, right? So you can be driving down, any of our roads and you can hit a city road, a county road, and a state road easily. So it's like a lot of people don't understand. So they're in the city limits. They think that, if there's a problem here, I need to call the city.
Right.
Well, then the city's like, well, that's not our bridge, or that's not our road.
Yep.
That's the county. Or vice versa. You call the county and it's like, no, that's a city road, or no, I'm sorry, that's a state road. That's under FDOT.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of thought that, like, if we could kind of talk a little bit about the different aspects of government and the different layers that there are to kind of help people navigate and kind of, because I could understand as a constituent if I'm calling the representative's office and like nothing's happening, because I'm like, well, I complained, but I still hear a horn going off, So
Right.
it's like, but yet the representative is bringing this to, the commission's office or the Board of County Commissioners to resolve it, it's being worked on, but we're not in the communication with those constituents.
Right.
So we can't.
So it's hard to sit there and explain to them, this is what's happening. This is why we have the horn. This is maybe what we could do to alleviate some of your stress. But this is also like horns have to. There was someone who passed away who died on a bridge in West Palm, right? Because they didn't hear that they were, and the thing went up. There was no sound, no warning. They were on the top of the bridge. A lot of people are walking with headphones in, so they might not hear the ding, 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 because that's a lot quieter than the big horn sound.
Well, what was really interesting is through this research, staff came back and they said actually in 2014, I believe it was, if I got the year wrong, I apologize, but I think it was around 2014, that there was an incident on that bridge that they sued the county over. And
on this specific bridge?
On this particular bridge, yes. And because of all the safety protocols and everything, the county won that suit. And so it's kind of like...
The county's be like, yeah, no, we're not moving the horn.
So it's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of like, okay, you're asking to take away a safety a safety mechanism that has proven that makes it safer. And I understand people want to sleep through the night. I'm not saying that that people should be disruptive, but based on the studies we found, the 3-month study that I looked at, I haven't seen, I think they went back to like 6 months or maybe even a year in the time intervals. So for the last 3 months, it was going on approximately 2 times between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
2 times an hour?
2 times a night.
2 times a night.
Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
So, and the complaint was that it's going off every 20 minutes, 24 hours.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. So someone's exaggerating. Just a skosh. And not only that, let's be real. Like, so they bought the house. Someone bought a house next to where the bridge goes up.
And we're talking about like the bridge over the intercoastal, right?
Yeah.
Next to the houses.
First world problems.
Very much.
I mean, like, yes, the horn's annoying. I could hear the train horn from my old house in Fort Lauderdale. So
I live across the street from the train.
That's true.
Next,
90, I-95. Yeah.
Well, guess what? I don't call at Florida. I don't call the federal government because it's a national road and say, FDOT or whatever, and say, excuse me, it's too loud. I can't sleep at night. I chose to live next to I-95.
Move away from 95.
Right.
Then.
I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. I like my little corner quiet of the world
and that's
over there.
My thing.
So, like, if you're going to, like, come on.
And plus, if you can...
Come on, man.
If you have the livelihood that you can live in that area, let's just say that, is that soundproofing your room probably would not be that expensive. For somebody that has a decent income or decent savings or anything of that nature. So it's like you can kind of help solve your own problems. But at the same time, like, I get if there's a problem and there's something that could be done, you want to know if something can be done.
But it's helpful if you're talking to the person who can make something happen rather than going through multiple people.
That kind of reminds me, when I lived in my house in Fort Lauderdale, I had a circle drive and it was gravel, but in the middle of the little like half circle island of the driveway, there was like this beautiful, was it 2 or 3 like foxtail palm? It was there when I bought the house. And I set my garbage cans and my recycling bins out once, and like they were feet away from those palm trees, but like the contractor for the city that picked up the garbage, somehow the arms that come out and like pick up got one of the palm trees.
No.
Ripped it right out of the ground. Like I go out to check my mailbox and
vandalized trees.
And I something caught the corner of my eye. Look, and there's this palm tree just laying on the ground. And so anyways, I called the city. I'm like, hey, the garbage truck just ripped one of my palm trees out of the ground, picking up my trash can. Who do I call? So I ended up like calling. They're like, oh, you need to call the contractor, the waste company. And it wasn't, who are we talking about for? Waste management? It wasn't them. But anyways, but I went back and forth with them. I'm like, your guys, the cans were nowhere near that palm tree, and they ripped my palm tree out of the ground. They did end up replacing it with a crappier set of palms, but like they did get them replaced. But I mean, just an instance of like,
This
Okay,
is finding out who to
who controls the garbage contract? I think that's a city. Well, I mean, in my case, it would be the county in Lighthouse Point, but
Yeah.
I would still probably go through the city.
start with the city, right? And that's what you. So this is the kind of like
Yeah.
start with smaller. Like it's the most likely going to be the person closest to
Yeah.
you, whether that's city or county or
Now
school
it's-
board.
Now it's very interesting because it can get very complicated. Because take the city of Boca, for instance.
I was going to bring this up. Yeah.
So the city of Boca, with their traffic, they
Yep.
handle their own traffic. Where a lot of the other cities, Palm Beach County handles their traffic.
Right. So here's a fun one. I had someone reach out to me. Like when I first started with Marcy, I saw her somewhere, and she was like, "So I have an issue." She lives actually near the same place. She has not complained about the bridge noise, but she said that road is supposed to be no trucks. There's signs, no trucks, no trucks, no trucks. She's like, and I always see trucks, big delivery trucks coming through. The road's not made to handle it. It's not good for the wear and tear of the road. Like we just paid to have this road, the bridge fixed. Like it's all this stuff. So she's like, who do I complain about that? And I was like, let me find out. Well, so the answer was incredibly complicated because it is a county road, but the city controls the traffic. So therefore, the county can't do anything to prevent or discipline any of rules that are broken on the road. The city has to do
Oh
that.
my
But the
gosh.
city keeps saying, no, the county has to do it because it's a county road. So she still hasn't got her problem solved because ultimately the city has to enforce the law that is put forward for that road.
Right.
And they're not doing it because they just keep kicking it back to the county.
What? 2 different jurisdictions pointing fingers? Never.
That way.
And it's like, and then it becomes very disheartening because it's like the problem, the people who suffer are the constituents.
Yeah.
Because county and city and state can't all work cohesively together to make sure that they're running a good society,
Right.
basically.
Right.
Because it's like, it's like everybody wants to get involved, kind of like when your friends are complaining, but nobody wants to get involved when it's just, somebody down the street that you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you kind of gotta, and this is where it's frustrating, I think, for constituents, because they're like, well, if I didn't know somebody, or, like I don't know somebody, so I can't,
Right.
I complain, nothing happens.
Right.
But somebody calls, a state representative's office, and it's like, oh, everybody's got to like jump up and
How high?
and get things done. And it's kind of, I was very proud of Mayor Weiss in the county commission meeting, because he made it very clear that everybody in Palm Beach County is important, not just this particular people by this particular bridge. And so we need more representatives just in general that think like that, and even though he is on the other side of the aisle, so to speak,
Again, a lot of this stuff is
It's
nothing to
not-
do with the
nonpartisan.
aisle. It
It's
has
not
everything to do with
partisan.
like caring for the citizens, because essentially what's being boiling down to is the complaint is the solution for the complaint that is most likely what they would like. I can't put words in people's mouths, but just logical process is that the horns stop, right? Well, if the horns stop, someone else could die or
Yeah.
get seriously injured. So therefore, it's not focusing on what is good for society. It's focusing on the greater good for themselves.
yes.
Or for their neighbors or whatever it may
Yeah.
be for that particular spot, but not for as society. And we need people in office, people in voices out there that are speaking and saying, no, this is what, unfortunately, we all have to sacrifice a little bit in order to live in a neighborhood with people. We are not, when they say a compromise is when everyone feels like they've lost something, it's a good compromise.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we have to be at with this type of thing, because you can't, you don't live in an isolated society. We don't live unless you live out in the boondocks, which
Well, in Palm Beach
Come visit
County,
you.
we have 1.5 million people.
in a heavily densely area
Yeah.
on the east side.
Yeah.
How many people are in Broward?
Oh gosh. It's more than that.
Yeah, I know it's more.
It's like 1.2.
No, Broward's
We're
bigger.
1.5.
We're 1.5.
1.5? Oh, I'm
Pretty
thinking of
sure Broward's-
registered voters.
Yeah.
It's more.
It's more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows. Drop it in the chat. Let us know with a Rumble rant. If you
With the
wouldn't
Rumble
mind.
rant.
We'll read that.
Support our work.
Support our work.
And what you're talking about, it reminds me of our discussion at the Locals for Liberty meeting on Monday night.
I
Just
missed
about, oh, that's sorry. FOMO.
It's okay. Yeah, FOMO. I mean, I was in the
Oh,
mountains.
too bad for you.
I was in the mountains, so it wasn't too bad, but I do have FOMO. Okay. Tell me.
No, we were just talking about, when you're talking about local politics, whether it's city or county, what school board, like these like our representatives, our elected officials, they're our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're imposing taxes on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're imposing ordinances and everything on themselves. Like, so it's not like they're sitting from up on high and, you know.
At the county level. The state level, I feel like they're sitting a little more up on
Maybe
high.
a little more
you
up
know,
on
they
high.
impose sunshine on everyone
Everyone else
else
and not themselves. Yes,
You know,
yes.
things like
Which
that.
we need to work on fixing that.
Yeah, I think they
Just-
should have to be.
I was at a
under
club
sunshine
meeting on Tuesday night. Yeah, because our locals was on Monday night. So I was at a club meeting down in Broward Tuesday night, and it was interesting because there was a mayor and 2 commissioners at the meeting, and the one commissioner was going to talk about our favorite topic, trash.
Trash.
And
Trash Talk Tuesday.
and the
That's
other
right, it was
two,
Trash Talk.
that's right. And the other two, we were like in a private room of a restaurant, and the other 2 like went out so he could like talk about it because
of sunshine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which, for the record, if anybody doesn't know, we'll explain a little bit sunshine laws. Florida has what's called sunshine laws. It means that if you are sitting on a board, an elected board or an appointed board,
even the boards in the city, I'm under
Yep.
sunshine on the ones I serve
you're
on.
under what's called sunshine, meaning that you cannot speak about any agenda items, past, present. Can you speak about past ones?
You can
If it's already been voted on,
If
I
it's
think
been
you
voted
can.
on. So nothing that is present, like being discussed, or future that could be.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it could be. So let's say Broward County is talking about moving into trash, like doing their trash like Palm Beach County is. If that's
The
even a
interlocal
conversation,
agreement, yep.
then they can't even just chat about trash with each other unless they are in out in sunshine. So in a public meeting, a publicly noticed meeting, a live stream meeting, a recorded meeting, whatever it may be. And so the same thing applies to, like I said, governing bodies, boards. So like I know like Marcy sits on the transportation board, so she sits on that with Councilwoman Knockless and Councilwoman Drucker. From Boca, and so they cannot talk about anything that might have to
Transportation
do with
related.
transportation or roads with each other. So Commissioner Woodward can talk about it with a different council member and have a conversation, but she can't do it with those council members because
they sit
all
on the same board. Yeah.
So, and state of Florida legislatures, just Senate and House, are not under sunshine, so they can go in the back room, have a conversation about what they want to
And
vote on,
this is
and
how
come out and
deals
vote.
are made.
That's how deals are made. So they imposed sunshine laws on the rest of the state, but what is good rules for thee, but not for me. So, okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of explain that for those who didn't
No,
know.
that's
So
good.
let's go back
Yeah.
to what we were saying.
We were
before.
talking about Monday night, just about like these are our neighbors.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, literally.
literally our neighbors, and so I think it's a different dynamic, and it speaks like what we were talking about. You know, most of the municipal elections, I think, not at the county level but city level, are nonpartisan races, and really the issues that come before the councils and commissions, they're not usually partisan issues. They're nonpartisan.
They're taxes,
Taxes.
they're roads, they're how do we spend the budget that we have, or
Right.
providing civil services and
Yeah.
community services.
And obviously, your political leanings do play into those things, like how you allocate the funds, what do you support, what do you not support. But it's really not. You don't see a lot of the hot button culture wars type issues at the local level.
Right.
You really
right.
don't, unless you're discussing pronouns in the city charter.
Ooh. Or like in Boca when they were trying to penalize counseling for.
Oh yeah, we talked about
We
that.
just talked about that. So
Yeah.
we talked about that. I think one of our first couple of episodes. So if you'd like to know more about that, you have to go back and listen to the other episodes if you missed it.
Sassy Gal says thanks for the explanation.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome. Our pleasure.
Let us know if you have any other questions. So I think it's interesting too, because even again at the moving up, so we've hit city council, city commission, moving even up to the county commission level. So yes, those are partisan races. We know who's a Republican, who's a Democrat on those boards. But I mean, I can think of a handful of times where we see real party line votes. If that.
It's not really.
It's not. It's
really just an ideology or a thought process that it's like clearly a couple people are on one side and a couple other are on the other. Recently, they just passed a thing for public hearings or public notices in the newspaper.
Right.
So the county spends like $250,000 a year to put their public notices in the paper.
Because public notices are required by law, state law.
Yeah.
So if there's a meeting, when there's a meeting, budget meeting, anything, they all have to be noticed to the public. That's why if you see like yellow signs, a lot of times there are yellow signs on the side of the road that says public notice.
Like
those
this property is coming before a public
Right.
hearing on X
Those are
date.
public notices. So those are required by law.
And by state law, it had to be a printed newspaper, from what I understand.
Yes.
And so a recent law, this last legislative session, allowed those notices to be done electronically, so online. So it's no longer required to have the paper notices done. And so as a county commission, our county had to vote on whether or not they wanted to continue with the paper advertising of the notices, or if they wanted to start leaning more towards digital. And so the board, there was a couple Democrats, a couple Republicans that wanted it to stay the way it was, and there were a couple Democrats and a couple Republicans that wanted to
Save the money.
To save the money and start going more digital. And there were really good discussions and arguments about it,
Right.
and it's like it kind of came down to, to get the paper notices, you had to be a subscriber. So
Right. Still had to pay for a subscription.
Yeah, so to
To the
get the
newspaper.
notices from the county, you had to pay somebody else. You had to pay a third party. And it just helped me think, like, how many times do we do that? Locally, it's like we have to pay a third party for something when it's like, why can't we just give the constituents the information directly?
Right.
Kind of sounds like our sponsor tonight, cutting out the middleman and
Exactly.
Salvo journeys.
Oh! Nice, Abby. Huh. That was good.
That's a bonus plug, bro.
And so it's just very interesting when you kind of look at it that way, because it's like it could have been a very partisan issue, because you have wanting to support the newspaper and then support
Which the newspapers were pissed. They were sitting behind me during the meeting.
but they're very left leaning, especially in Palm Beach County.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like
We will not name the newspaper.
and so like a lot of Republicans will not subscribe to the newspapers. So they're not getting this information, which is leaving them uneducated.
Yep.
Where if there was a central location that you could go to and find out what's going on in your county and what's coming up
I mean,
and things
isn't
of that
that
nature.
the website? I mean, doesn't the county and the city have a website that they
Yes.
put these
Yes,
notices
but
on?
the notices then need to go out to the people.
Oh.
So it's going to be via, I think, email subscriber. Is
I'm
that-
not quite sure that it's
It's a
still
new-
in
it's a new
still
process.
in its early stages
Yeah.
of exactly how it's going to be built and how it's going to function.
Mm-hmm.
And
They
we
hired
can
a-
tweak it. We can tweak it as we go too.
Yeah.
So if there's certain things,
I just think that so few people subscribe to the newspaper.
yeah.
And
well, and they kept
especially
saying that, it's digital, everyone subscribes digitally, but you still have to pay for a digital subscription.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who refuse to do that. I refuse to give even $1 to a certain
Yeah.
newspaper that I
And
don't
there's
want.
absolutely nothing to stop the newspapers from publishing the notices and the updates. They can still do that.
They just don't get the
they
contract.
don't get the ad pay that or the
Yeah.
They don't get the $250,000.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they can still be good stewards. They can still be good constituents in wanting to get information out there to everyone
Yeah.
or their subscribers. They can definitely do that. There's nothing to stop them from doing that.
They're
So-
just in it for the grift.
Right. So it's like when you look at it, but it was a clear example that it was like two different parties, two different ideas or suggestions. It was like, well, mostly seniors read the newspaper,
Right.
and it's like, oh, well, they could go to if they don't want to pay for a subscription, they could go to the library,
Well, how do they get to the library?
Yeah, so it's like, so it's like there was
Palm Trend
just
connection.
Bum tran.
at what $55 to ride.
Is it really?
Palm Trend connection. That's
Yeah,
like
the
the private
connection.
pickup.
The little short buses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
$55
Yeah.
per trip.
Yep. And
Oh
they
my
pay
God.
$3.50.
Jeez, every time, Stu, I jump.
They pay what?
$3.50.
Who does?
The person.
Oh, I thought you said. I thought you meant the constituents.
No,
were
we
paying.
do.
The taxpayer.
Taxpayer pays
taxpayer.
51 and change.
I
Yeah.
thought it was like 55.
Do you guys
It's
have the
55
equivalent?
total, and they pay
Oh, yes.
350.
Yeah.
So we
Do you
have
guys have the equivalent of like the Broward County TOPS program? That's more for like medical or like
I don't know.
special
That I
needs.
don't know.
Yeah, I
I
see
don't
their
know.
little vans and buses all the time.
So this is the palm train. If anyone wants to dig into that one, feel free.
Yeah, but it's like another perfect example is the connection program, which we understand some people need the service and things of that nature. But literally, you could live in Boca Raton and want to go to Publix in Palm Beach Gardens, and the Palm Beach connection has to take you
For $3.50.
for $3.50.
I know. We're doing this all wrong, guys.
Oh my gosh.
And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
like, and before there was like no qualifications, there was no.
You didn't have to
kinda
prove
like-
that you needed
It's kind of like
it.
the old Starbucks like rewards program where like people would bring in like the biggest, like they would literally bring in like like a cooler, like an igloo cooler. Like, I want my free drink in this. There's no restrictions. Fill her up, you know?
That changed real fast.
But it's the same idea.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're going to have people that are going to take advantage when you have those type of
Yeah.
luxury services and things of that nature. And that, again, is not a partisan issue, you know? So it's like we have, we have Democrats, that are like, well, we need to do something about this. You know, we need to make sure that it's kind of tightened up and maybe people should qualify for this type of service. And maybe we could limit the trips that they're allowed to take, like there's things that we could do to kind of make it that it's not such a heavy burden on taxpayers.
Right.
And so just like the whole Palm Beach Post, thing.
Oh,
sorry.
paper.
Sorry.
Oops.
So
Pretty sure they're
just
not
like
watching.
the paper, you're a little late. So just like in the newspaper aspects, we all know who they are, so don't even.
Well, there was two options.
I know, especially in Palm Beach County, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But not especially at this level, this local level, things aren't so partisan. They're just not. And when we force the partisan aspects, is it disrupts and causes chaos in our society.
Right.
Yeah.
And then nobody wants to listen to anyone. You're
Right.
going to see people like the commissioners, the city council, they're not even going to acknowledge your existence because of the fact that you're pushing something that you may not have all of the information in because you didn't get your public notice. But so if we can work to kind of just streamline that a little bit and help it be easier. Like Palm Beach County has a connection app, and I just found out Boca has an app now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Boca
so-
does have an app. It's called My Boca.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like you can record like a pothole or something
Yeah,
like
you
that.
can report things like that. You can pay your bills. I think they're moving it to expanding it because Boca's looking at putting in like connection, like a downtown connector and stuff. I don't know if that'll be this integrated into the app. I think that's what they eventually would like to try to do. So, and Delray does too. Delray has an app.
So I love seeing our city and our counties like wanting to connect with the constituents directly.
Yeah.
And so like I know we asked for the county connection app, like even if it's a city road, they'll send an email to the city saying, "Hey, we got this this complaint or
That's good.
this issue,
Exactly.
And this is your domain, so we're sending you the information." And then I think that the constituent that puts in the information also gets told, like, this is a city, this is under city. Here's who you can contact. So I think it's awesome that the city is actually, has something similar where you can report potholes and things of that nature. And hopefully they do the same thing. Like they're willing, if it is a county or a state road,
They will integrate
that
and make
they'll
sure
send.
that,
So it's like just simple things like that it's like the constituents, we don't know necessarily.
we don't care. A lot of
And-
people don't
yeah,
care
exactly.
who owns the road
Yeah.
or what's
We
going
just
on.
want the pothole fixed.
want it fixed. I just want the lights to run on time.
Yeah.
I just want to have a
Timely traffic lights.
timely
would be
traffic
great.
lights. Boca. I got honked at today. Okay, so I'm coming off of the what's the interchange Glades?
The diamond?
Thank you, the Diamond. So I take it all the time because
Yeah.
I live right by the exit there. So I'm coming off, going south, going off to go left, and I'm waiting at the light. And the traffic is coming across, waiting and waiting and waiting. Well, what happens is I don't know if it's people who are just trying to gun it to get through because it's such a long thing, or if the lights are not timed properly. I can't tell. But it turns green, And I have to wait because there are still cars just
still
flying
going.
by. So now someone's laying on the horn behind me because it's been, 3.5 seconds and I haven't hit the gas to go. And I'm like, well, sorry, not going to pull out in traffic because people flying. It's scary because if you're not looking this way, which you shouldn't have to be,
You shouldn't.
then you're,
Yeah.
and that it's not good. And that happens very regularly during like rush hour.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's dangerous.
I get very nervous anytime I have to go through that intersection because I'm like, oh, the lanes. They're so, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. This is.
I'm getting
We don't
more
have this
used
in
to
Broward.
it because I'm getting used to it again because I live.
Yeah.
I take it every day. So, but still, it's a little nerve wracking.
Yeah.
And it can take I think Marcy timed it one time. It took her 8 minutes to get
What?
off 95 and then pass through light.
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah, you turn right, and then it's like you stop if you're stopping at the light to turn left, and then you have to stop at the next light and the next one.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad.
So that can be something that can be worked on. Come on.
Yeah, if we get good people in city council.
Shout out.
Brian Steinberg.
Brian Stenberg, City Council CD. Ooh.
CD.
Exactly. So, all right. So then we go up. So what do we call the state for?
Well, I'll say that back during the COVID days, I reached out to my county commissioner about reopening. Well, first about reopening gyms, let the people work out. But then I reached out to him. I emailed him about them imposing the mask mandate while working out in the gyms in July of 2020, and
I remember that.
it fell on deaf ears. So then that's when I reached out to my state rep.
Did it do anything?
I mean, it took a while, but they passed. They passed some legislation the next spring, kind of not allowing the counties to be so draconian in their measures. And, that spring of 21 is when they, the governor and the legislature was like, yeah, we're reopening everything. You can't require a mask mandate.
No, only in county government buildings did they keep doing it. In Palm Beach County, they did. You couldn't even go into the government buildings or into the library.
I saw
Jean Marie.
5 people with masks on this week in
Shout
the
out
government center.
Jean Marie had that library incident.
Yes.
That was in January of 22.
22?
22, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong,
I
Jean
think
Marie.
you're right.
I think I'm pretty
believe
sure.
You're right, because that was shortly after we started going to local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was February of 22, the government building, because it was a county library.
That's what got me still being under those mask mandates and things of that nature. That's what got me wanting to get involved.
Yeah.
Well, here we all are.
Yeah.
But
so anyways, I it didn't fall on deaf ears with my state
Good.
rep. And he did reply and say that, it was being worked on. It was something that was, being they were keeping an eye on it and they were trying to do stuff. But I mean, you think in summer of 2020, everybody was in campaign mode. They weren't in session,
Yeah,
So it wasn't like much was getting done in Tallahassee at that time.
it's true. Well, so I think that it's good for people to know who to call for what, for when. And then when in doubt, contact the person closest to you.
Yeah.
So start with the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Start with the
Start with your local municipality,
or county if you're in an incorporated.
and work your way up or out from there, to be able to get the best and closest results. Everybody that we work with in the county is so great. Like, they're just really want to be helpful.
Yeah.
So it's like, I hope that happens at the municipal level as well. But it's like, all of us, aides that work on the 12th floor of the government center, like, we're constantly like, oh, this constituent called, they're in your district, do you want to help, you need to help them or whatever. And it's just a nice conversation. It's like, you're all working together to try to get, a problem solved, So that to me, I think, was probably the biggest surprise that I've had so far, that I didn't realize how closely the aides kind of help each other out when there's a question or there's a concern or there's something that's going on.
Good to know.
Yeah, so it's definitely not a partisan thing. It's just very like, oh, somebody's here. It's in your district. Oh no, it's in your district. Okay, no problem. I'll take care of it. Sounds great. So I love that part.
It's good. I'm going to take a segue, hard turn, real quick. So one of the things that we talked about in the last episode was budgets, and now everything's been closed out. Hallelujah. So anybody got any interesting things that happened? I know that Boca's millage dropped just a slight like
Smidgen.
skosh.
0.00
Something 24 something
Somebody
like that.
said it at the meeting the other night, right?
Brian did.
Brian did. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and then
0.00.
0.24, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh my god,
You're
it's
right.
gonna save me a hot penny.
Yeah.
Boynton
Boynton stayed the
stayed
same.
the same. Delray's stayed the same.
I think you might be right.
I think I'm right, but their budget increased.
Yes, because most of the municipalities took their property increase as part of their budget.
Yes.
So if their property values increased, it's still that same percentage or that
Right.
same millage. So if they kept it the same, they still
Got more.
got more money because the property prices.
But saying, I think Susan,
Appraisal
remember that
prices.
the mayor in Delray voted against their budget, but she was outvoted.
The mayor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said that it was too much spending and she wasn't comfortable with it.
But everybody else voted for it.
Yes, so it passed because they are, a council. And then who else? And then what about you guys? Have anything to report? Anything interesting?
Lighthouse
Budget?
Point, they raised the rate
Okay.
because we got a lot of infrastructure to pay
Yeah.
for, and people aren't happy. But the money's got to come from somewhere, and obviously, I hope that the commission continues to lobby to bring some of our tax dollars back from Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something that they hadn't really done much of before this past year, and so
you a donor?
we're donor
region?
city.
Donor
Yeah.
city, yeah.
big time to both the county and the state.
What's a donor city?
That's a good question. So a donor city is a city or county, in our case. So in Palm Beach County, or in Broward County, Boca Raton, or Lighthouse Point are donor cities. So they're taxes that get paid to the county, and they don't get any money back from the county.
Or very little.
Or very little. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say any. They get very little money back for things like infrastructure, roads, whatever it may be, because they...
I have to interrupt. We
Ooh.
received a Rumble rant
Hey!
from Janine, Sassy Gal, $10.
Oh, thank you.
Said great information.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank
Sassy
you.
Gal. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to join Sassy Gal with a Rumble rant, please drop it now. And we will make sure to read it. So it is a donor. So donor cities don't really get...
And
'cause
they don't get much funding back from the state or the federal
Right. They don't
federal
get
government either.
funding because most of the time they don't need it, in theory.
In theory.
In theory. And then same thing for counties. So Palm Beach County, Broward County were donor counties the money goes to the state, and we don't necessarily see that money come back to us. It goes to other parts of the state that need the money more. Their budgets are not as high.
Yeah.
Things like
And
that.
I think when I went to the school board meeting last month, one of the reasons they threw out for, increasing the discretionary local rate was that because Broward County sends so much tax money to the state, to cover the rural counties. Like we send so much in tax. They're like, well, we can't lower or keep the discretionary rate the same because
the school board?
the school board.
But the money doesn't come from budgets are not related.
I know. But that was the reasoning that they gave.
That's not reason. This is a problem.
This is just another example of how people don't quite understand how it works. So they're
Like,
so
okay,
silly
sure.
things like that.
It
happen.
sounds, if you don't know that they're
Yeah.
separate budgets.
I mean,
then-
bottom line, every single meeting I went to last month on the budget, because, Broward County kept their rate the same. School board went up, especially because of the referendum that was passed last year. And then Lighthouse Point went up. And I trust the city of Lighthouse Point with my tax dollars way more than I trust the county or the school board. I mean, do I like my taxes going up? No. But I can see with my own two eyes that, we have, 80-year-old bridges in our city that need to be repaired and replaced.
right.
because you've educated yourself and you've gotten to know your city.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I can see that. And it's like, okay, I understand. And there's canals that need to be dredged. And there's all these projects that need to happen.
Right.
And it's got to get paid for some way.
Right.
And with the school board, with the county, it's a little more removed. Like getting back to our conversation tonight, it's just a little bit more removed than, right in front of me on my street
Right.
at the end of my
Well,
street.
and the school boards, and I cannot wait to get into that in the next couple of weeks, are so convoluted when it comes to how they're spending your money that
And
it's not even.
I really loved how everybody was at city council meetings or county commission complaining about budgets and everything else, but our school board, nobody's going to meetings, nobody's checking what the school board's budget is doing.
Except for Ashley. If you're listening, Ashley, we know that you are.
Yes,
but
yes.
people need to join Ashley.
Yeah.
In that.
She's in a sea all by herself. She's
She
like,
is.
hi, I'm all alone over
treading
here.
water.
But to be honest with you, like getting back, like I think we talked about this last time, like we have to be paying attention all year long.
Yes.
But like
Yes.
all of the taxing jurisdictions were like, well, we can't lower your rate because it's only gonna save you $5 for the year.
Yeah. Well, $5 plus $5
Exactly.
plus $5. That's dinner.
Exactly. Yes.
I'm hungry.
So anyways, yeah, I mean, it was it was like I was making my tour of like public budget hearings last month, and it was just like,
it's
But-
sad.
yeah,
So, why do we get into the donor
Donor City.
I wanted to talk like what that means. So, so it's important though, even as donor cities, those are still our tax dollars.
Yeah.
So it's important as we're speaking to our elected officials who can lobby for that money.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I was at a BOCA meeting a couple weeks ago where, unfortunately, no, I'm just kidding. But not unfortunately, I was at the meeting. Unfortunately, the people at the meeting were Polsky and Berman, I think.
Senator Berman.
Senator Berman, Senator Polsky, and then Peggy Gossett-Simon, because they're the ones who represent the Boca Raton region at the state level, came back with appropriations. So they did bring some of our money back for some projects that we needed done in the city.
Do you remember how much they brought back?
A few $1 million.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something.
And I bet it was Peggy that made the biggest difference.
Probably,
Yeah.
yes.
Because
Yes.
that definitely helped.
She did
Lighthouse
really
Point.
good
She did.
of bringing dollars back.
Yeah,
to
she
us.
did for
did
like
a
3
really
or
good
4 big
job.
projects
Mhm.
that we are going to have now in the county. And so it's important that if we say, hey, we need this done, find out the part of their job is to find the money to pay for things.
On another note, too, this is why Lois Frankel keeps getting reelected, because she brings back so much money to the
Yes.
county,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
advertises that. And so nobody pays attention. So if you're not dialed in and nobody really pays attention to how she's voting, what she's voting on, what she's saying, and just paying attention, oh, she just brings back all of this money, this is what they do.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just another example. You can be good in one area and not so good in the other, and you need to kind of pay attention all year long and understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get the rug pulled out from under you, or you are literally living in half dark.
Yeah. I will say that, like, Lighthouse Point, just because it's my immediate example, they did a good job. The mayor and one of the commissioners went up to Tallahassee this year. They met with different legislators, and they kind of had some Sherpas that helped get their appropriations through, and they got signed by the governor when he signed the budget, so he didn't line item veto them or anything. But I mean,
Which the governor can line item veto.
and the county cannot. Was it who were we talking about? Weren't we talking about
Someone
somebody?
said that.
Somebody said, like, you can't line item veto
Commissioner Marcy said that. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure she said
Yeah,
that
we
they
talked about
can't
that on
line
Monday.
item. Oh,
On
okay.
Monday night.
on Monday night.
Yeah. But she's mentioned it to us before.
Yeah.
So
too.
line item veto means, like, it's like they take the budget, you take your budget. Now there's literal like lines, and the governor could go shoop 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 with a red pen, and then
he
sign
did.
it.
He did this
and
summer, and
he killed something in Boca that would have been really nice, which was something for the YMCA. Yeah,
I know that YMCA.
kind of bummed. Yeah, me too. It's near and dear to my heart.
Maybe
but
next year.
we hope so. I think they're going to allow you for it again. It's something to
Yeah.
help with their opening tonight. Actually, was the grand opening
Oh,
of their
yes,
lab.
yes.
Which is like a place for like teenagers to come and
cool.
hang and do
Yeah.
stuff. And so they did open it, but it's a lot less than they
What
were
they
hoping
wanted
it
to
to
do.
be. They wanted
Yeah.
to have more STEM stuff, some more technologies,
Mm-hmm.
things like that to help the kids to have a place to go after school.
Yeah.
That kind of
I'm
stuff.
so excited for the Innovative Art Center.
Where is that
we
going
should
to be?
talk
Oh
about
my
that for a second.
gosh.
Okay, so Meisner Park Amphitheater. They're going to be it's called the Center for the Innovation and Arts or of
Arts
Center Innovation of Arts
something
Center.
like that.
Okay.
Sorry.
It is going to be so amazing. They're going to take the current footprint and take the amphitheater and just bump it up 1,000,000 points. Like, it's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have like retractable roofs and walls, and
So you guys won't be sitting out in the blazing sun
so
the
we
next
won't
time?
be sitting
That's
out in the
correct.
blazing
Okay,
sun.
good,
It's going to have like art rooms for people to bring their kids to do art and
cool.
innovation, and then it's going to be like this huge campus where they can where companies like Apple can like rent it out to have a 6,000 person convention because they can turn all the rooms into open rooms. They can take the seats so it can sit like a theater style, and then they can move the seats to become like
banquet
style.
And this is the project that the conference, the press conference or whatever, was to announce the designer.
They announced the designer, which is Piano.
Renzo Piano.
Renzo Piano.
Very Italian.
Yes. And he only takes like 2 or 3 projects a year. He stays on from the beginning to the end of the project, so he helps with the renderings. He stays there for the whole project.
Oh, wow.
He was very passionate about this project, and one of the woman Andrea said today that one of the reasons they picked him is because not just was he passionate about the building, but he was passionate about the building being accessible to the people. Because so many like arts buildings you can't go into unless you have tickets, and tickets get expensive. And like I know, like I'm waiting for the time my girls are old enough for that. I'm like, okay, it's worth me spending the money to take them to the Nutcracker. Well, this is going to be something that's more accessible to everyone. They're going to have like a wall outside that can be projected on like the Nutcracker that's being played inside. So you're not seeing it, you're seeing it live, but you're not seeing it in person. So it's like more accessible for families who aren't going to get their 3-year-old to sit still, but would love to expose them to the beautiful music that the Nutcracker has. So like stuff like that. So it's super cool. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be
like, can
really
we do this
awesome.
like next year?
Yeah. They're talking about
How long is it gonna take?
They're talking about opening in
2029.
2029.
Q1.
Ooh, that's
a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they're in the fundraising aspects right now, and then they're starting now that they nailed down the architect. Then they're going to start the renderings.
So they got the confirmation from the city for the ground lease or land lease, and so now it's about planning and getting everything approved, and it's awesome because they're asking for input from the city, they're asking for input from the county, they're
asking for input from organizations in the community that will probably use it, like small like dance companies or things like that. And someone said, she was like, an example was as we were talking to one organization that has a summer camp, and they were like, we need a refrigerator because the kids bring their lunches and it needs to go in a refrigerator. And they were like, cool, we hadn't thought of that, so we'll do that. So like stuff like that, which is so cool because they really want to make it a part of the community. They're going to maintain all of the current contracts that the city has, the city events that they have in Meisner. So it's just like the Christmas tree lighting and like stuff like that are all going to concert series are all going to be still there. It's just going to be in a better facility. So
so it's really exciting.
So getting back to the appropriations for like 1 second, like something I'm really excited about, and when I win my chair election later this month, something that they did this past year during session was they did like a Broward Days where the elected Republican officials from the county all went up and met with, went to Tallahassee and met with the elected.
From Breck?
Well, all of the it was chairman and the executive director, and then the electeds from Broward. The Republicans are in the minority, so it was a small, tight knit group, but they went up and they met. They kind of as a team, they met with different people and they went around. Like they do in different. They have different delegation days that go up there.
Like Palm Beach County days.
Yeah. So they went up during Broward Days, and I was talking to one of the commissioners last weekend. And she just said how like fun it was to go up there as a group. And it's like, we're like the underdogs in Broward, but and I'm just really excited to go up there and be a part of that. The session's earlier in the year this year because it's an election year. So it'll be like January, February. But I think it's important for the Republican electeds in Broward and in Palm Beach County to like know each other and to, be a community and, interact and share ideas and
work together.
Work together and hear each other. And that way, when someone says something you disagree with, it's okay. You can talk about it instead of yelling and screaming.
Well, it's about finding the solution, right? And sometimes like I know like in a marriage, for instance, my husband and I can argue or disagree on something
ever, Stu, right? You never disagree.
And like I have to like put him in a headlock in order for him to agree with me. But really it's about that communication, like, and then it's like, oh, I heard you know, like I figured it out.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like communicating and being like, yeah, I know you were upset about this or whatever, and this is, you know, how about if we do this next time, or you know, whatever that conversation is. And it's like, we're all passionate human beings,
Right, and that's what I was saying before.
You know?
It's all a very emotion. There's a lot of emotion involved in what we're doing, but
Yeah.
communication.
and
key.
that's what makes us great as human beings. You know, it's like what makes us unique and what different, you know, and I don't think we appreciate our humanity very much. I think it can easily get in the way if we allow it to. And what I've noticed too is that people on the left especially, they use our humanity as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like, yes, we want to help the homeless people, but the minute that we're like, I'm not sacrificing my lifestyle to help the homeless, you know, then, oh, you don't care about homeless people, you know? So it's like, it's constantly used in this way where it's not beneficial to anyone but the person that's arguing.
Again, the greater good.
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
So it's like, we need to be empowered humans, and we get to
Mm-hmm.
use our emotions and our humanity as a strength. And I think that's the best counteractive, is that if we really start using that more as a strength and a way to exude our personal power, then it will become easier, because those things that get thrown at us from the other side won't necessarily be effective. And even from our own side, you know, because like I said, I think I started out saying, like, we can be really mean. You know, there's a lot of Republicans out there that are really mean to other Republicans.
Yeah.
And especially
ugly.
when it comes to primaries.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you can have different set of ideas, and the different set of ideas need to be negotiated out and then given to the voters and let the voters decide. Run your race. Bring what you're going to bring to the table. Show us that you can do the job. Show us that you can articulate and communicate and problem solve. And then lay it all out on the table, and then say, voters, you decide who's the best candidate, and whatever you choose is what's best for
The
society.
best way to get that message out. Salvo.
Salvo. How awesome is that? So, yes.
Yeah.
So, awesome. So, anything else?
I don't know. We still have a few minutes left.
Yeah, we
Anybody
do.
have any questions, comments, concerns?
No, there's the few comments we got, you know, talking about, you know, the cities, you know, the roads, like whether it's a city road or a county road. And Lily, she agreed that it was back in 2014, that one accident on the one bridge.
on the
Yeah.
ridge. Okay.
Thank
All
you
right,
for
thank
that
you.
confirmation.
And then,
Lily.
you know, Janine with the Rumble Rant.
The Rumble Rant.
Excuse me. For just sharing great information, which
So I have a quick funny story.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so we just were traveling. We were in Colorado for a family wedding, and it's a long trip
With kids.
3 kids.
Yes.
And we traveled with my dad, traveled with us. And so it was like 10, 12 hours from like door to door to get there, because my sister lives up in the mountains. So when we were going up, we landed, got our car, we're going up the mountains. We decided there's 2 ways to get into her town, and like one is up and around like the other side of the mountain with
What
another
town
town.
is it?
She lives in Estes Park.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
where I went on my senior trip in high school.
Really?
We stayed at the YMCA of the Rockies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The one.
Went
Oh,
skiing.
cool.
Bunch of Florida kids. A lot of people never seen snow before.
No, that was
and,
so.
we went
Yeah,
skiing.
they don't have skiing in Estes Park anymore. They did then, but yeah. They
Really?
Yeah, they don't get quite enough snow.
Well, we went to Winter Park to ski.
Oh,
but
then
we
that makes
stayed
more
in
sense.
Estes Park,
So you
yeah.
stayed in Estes.
Estes. Excuse me. It's like I said Boca Raton wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. So when my parents, this is where my parents met and got married. He was in this little tiny mountain town in Estes Park. And my dad, before he lived there, he also lived in this town called Allen's Park, which is like further up, another 1,000 feet up the mountains, and on a dirt road in a cabin. He was a hippie in the woods. Anyway, so he was like, let's drive.
so see
I know, right? He's like, let's drive back. He's like, I'll show you guys the cabin I used to live in. Like, it was a summer cabin that he lived in year round. So, so we go through this dirt. It's not even a road. It's like a path barely a road, and we go, and he's like showing us all these things, and so we turn around, and there's this lady just like looking at us and just giving us this look, and she comes up, she waves at us, she's like, "Can I help you find something?" Because no one's ever back there just wandering around. And he goes, no, I used to live here. And she's like, "Live where?" And he's like, "That house right there." And she's like, "Well, that's my house." And so it was the woman that my dad had sold the house to. 40 something years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So she tells him then she had also bought the cabin across the street, and they were using it as an Airbnb. And then she goes, "But the county just changed all these rules and regulations, and so I'm out here having to fix all this stuff in order to try to be able to keep my Airbnb." And I was like, it's a nationwide problem where the county changes rules and it drives everyone nuts.
Yeah.
That happened in was it Boynton Beach that I said on Monday? I think it was Boynton Beach,
I think it was Boynton.
that they changed, and it was in your notes actually that I stole.
Was it?
So thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
She didn't steal. I did share them.
And I gave her credit.
It's fine.
So it was that now if you rent in Boynton Beach for more than 3 months, that you now have to register with the city.
I think that's state. I think that's countywide. Didn't the tax collector talk about something like that? That they're going after people who are not registering bed taxes?
Oh.
Well, I think it was a short-term rental thing. So they got around it by doing short-term rentals.
Okay.
I would think that the bed tax would apply to short-term rentals and
does.
not long-term.
It does.
Well, I guess it's...
So Boynton changed something.
So it's... I think is because it's not consecutive. So if it's consecutive, they don't have to pay the bed tax. But so it's like if you rent it out for a month here and a month there, but 2 months are missing in between, you didn't have to register.
Yes.
But
something like that.
If you, at least in the city, so if you rent it out more than 3 times a year or 3 months throughout the year, you have to register as a vacation,
as a short-term rental.
As a short-term rental.
So I don't know if it was exactly like she didn't get into all the details, but it was definitely she was out there having to like do stuff because Boulder County, which this town is in Boulder County, the other town my sister lives in is in a different county because the county line is right there.
Okay.
So, but anyway, I just thought that was interesting. I was like, I don't know. It made me laugh. Of course, I was a little slap happy because I'd been awake for like several hours.
Rules and regulations have no boundaries.
Nope.
Right?
And they infringe on everyone's. I mean, and to some degree, I know they do that kind of stuff to keep make sure that properties are safe and up to code and things like that. So I know that there is place for that, but at the same time, I had
this exact conversation this afternoon. I was talking to someone in the city of Lighthouse Point. My church is having an issue with their monument signs, and they came to me as a resident and someone who's kind of tied in, connected. They're like connected. They're in violation, they've been trying to deal with it. And so I was like, let me make a few phone calls. And so
let's see what I can do.
They're like, so the person that called me back is like, well, have they applied to the community appearance board? I was like, oh, because I always look at those agendas usually every month, and it's always monument signs. It's that's the big thing. Anytime you change the lettering or whatever that's on the marquee, you got to go before the community appearance board. Yeah.
So if they want to say Merry Christmas.
Well,
instead of
these are the permanent signs.
Oh, okay. Not the ones that have
plaza
the little
signs and stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and so, my church thinking that they were just changing, the lettering, that's not that big a deal, but in Lighthouse Point, because they do have strict ordinances about what is allowed, and it's bureaucracy, but it's bureaucracy that the
size of the letters.
Yeah, that the
that's
city.
The same thing. I'm pretty sure Boca has.
Yeah. Most cities. I mean, I know at my office in Deerfield, our next door neighbors, they were feeling that they weren't getting enough their overhead, the building sign wasn't attracting enough drive up traffic, and so they put those those flags, those floppy wavy flags, and they got a notice from the city, and they're like, why can't we leave these out? Or I can't remember. They put out an American flag, but they put something else out, anyways. And then the landlord came by, the property manager came by and was like, look, you guys are in violation, and now I've got to go to the code enforcement meeting in town because you guys are in violation and you refuse to take it down. And it was like, yeah, our neighbors, they fight with the neighbors on the other side, and we're like,
sounds
we're
like you
just
guys need to have a block
it.
party and get everyone to get along.
Seriously. Seriously. But anyways, yeah. So I mean, it's like it's bureaucracy, and I hate it as a conservative and like a limited government type of thing. But like at the same time, the same person's like, well, that's the reason we don't have like Kava Kratom shops in Lighthouse Point. Like we were successful. We were successful in keeping them out and keeping.
Well, it's the same thing, similar thing to Boca. We don't have certain types of flashing signs. We don't have billboards. We don't have all these things, and it's
a level of consistency, right?
Yeah.
What happens on one end of the town, you kind of want it to look consistent.
Yeah, and we have a certain look to the town. This is why, again, we choose to live here.
Yeah.
So then we need to choose to follow the rules if these are the places that we choose to live. If you choose to live by a bridge and there's a horn, you guess what?
So we used to have a store in Margate in Broward County, and their code enforcement, and they're like, we would time it. Like,
really?
We would put like a sale banner up trying to get more, this was like back in the early 2000s, but like they would time it. It was like 20 minutes and code enforcement would be there. And they were, and I'm like, freaking Margate, it's a dumpy city. Like, why are they so strict about this
Hey,
stuff?
don't be mean to Margate. I'm just kidding.
Hey, my sister, she's a firefighter in the city of Margate now.
Oh,
so
that's
she's keeping the residents safe.
Yeah.
But it was just funny because it was like you could set your watch to it.
That's so funny.
You did something, you put up a sign, they were gonna call
government
you.
Come knocking. I'm here from the government. I'm here to help you.
Well, I think we need to finish up here really quick, I just wanted to give everybody like a little update on the GL home swap. We've talked about that previously.
Yes. Yeah.
So it did go through the zoning meeting today, and it was very interesting. It was a short meeting, and none of the commissioners on the zoning meeting made any questions. Barely talked about it, listened to the presentation. There was a few public comments, and they voted to approve it. So it is going to be going to the Board of County Commission in Palm Beach County on October 24th. It does look like there is a press conference scheduled for tomorrow, I think. So just kind of keep an eye out.
Right?
Yeah. And so if you are against the land swap, we did do a little episode on that, and there's a little clip that Abby did. So
thanks, Abby.
You're welcome. It was awesome. So go back and listen to that. If you have any questions or concerns, be sure to email your commissioners and let them know that you are against it. And why you're against it would be nice. Please be respectful and keep it to the topic so that you can be the most effective.
Yes.
Because something like this, we need to make sure we're very effective. Just saying, no, I don't want it. Like, okay, you don't want it. But like, this is going to set a precedent that's going to change the look of our county very quickly and very easily. So we just need to kind of be on top of it on this one.
Absolutely.
So just keep an eye out. If you are able to attend 9:30 Governmental Center on October 24th, 6th floor.
Pack a lunch.
Pack a lunch. It may be a long day. Just I think the more people that are out there just kind of saying no and showing up, I think it's going to send a strong message to the commissioners. So email them, call their office, whatever you need to do.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Yes, Commissioner Woodward and Commissioner Sachs are a no vote. They have not anticipated or made mention that they have any inkling of changing their vote. So you can say thank you and ask them to hold the line and do their best to convince their colleagues to vote no. And encourage them. Now is a good time to pray for Commissioner Woodward and pray for Commissioner Sachs.
Yes, it's very sorry.
Yeah, and just kind of give that support so that they can be strong in this and be our voice.
Yeah, it's this vote will change a lot of things if it gets voted yes, and it doesn't matter which commissioner voted yay or nay on it. They will just be known as the commission that did this. And I think that's weighing a lot on commissioners who are struggling with it. And so just to, definitely pray for them, to strengthen them, that it is not to hold their line, to do what their gut is telling them. And in the end, history will reflect that they stood firm.
Pray for all of them
Yeah, pray for all of them.
that they have guidance and clarity of
And the guts to stand up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure. A lot.
Yeah.
So GL is sweetening the pot. More and more and more.
every
More
day it
things are
seems-
coming out. That, they're doing this, and they're doing that, and stuff we hadn't even heard that they're doing.
Yeah.
That they're offering.
Yeah,
people.
so it's very interesting, and they are using our humanity against us in order to get their way. So just another example of that
to get their billions of dollars.
Yeah. So,
So.
anybody else? Anything to close out?
I don't think so.
No, just keep me in your prayers too over the next summer weeks, because it is a sprint and it is a grind.
Yes. If you are a BREC member, be sure to vote for Abby as BREC chair.
Yeah.
So, awesome.
And help her out. See if contact Abby. Contact you through our We the Locals if anyone wants to help you.
Yeah.
Make phone calls. Get
Yeah.
out there and talk to your people.
Or if they want to sit down and chat with you.
Yeah,
and-
I am around. I'm available. Contrary to popular belief, I am not time constrained in my ability to lead BREC, even though I do have a day job. I handle many things at all times, and
with grace and
I
class.
am committed to getting Republicans elected in Broward County in 2024.
I like it.
It's going to take the whole crew to get it done.
That's right.
And
United.
Yes.
United we stand.
Yes, exactly. All right, I want to go ahead and thank our brand new sponsor, Salvo.today. Be sure to check them out. Their also links are on our website. I also want to thank our 30 agency for being with us as well. We're so thankful for your support. Their links are on our website as well. You can email us at wethelocalsfl@gmail.com if you want to give us any information or interest in sponsorship. And you can also check out our website at wethelocalspodcast.com for all of the information, link to our past episodes. Any information that you may need is going to be right on our website. So go ahead and have a great night and stay local.
Bye.
Bye.